Thank you. I would also ask that we bow our heads in a moment of silence for those members, active and retired, who since we last gathered are no longer with us. I would also ask that in your thoughts you include the men and women who are recovering from injuries they have suffered in the line of duty and may be facing the reality of never returning to our active ranks. Thank you. Behind you are two buildings which house the three branches of the New York State government. The Capitol building, which houses the executive branch, and both houses of the legislature. Farther down the street is the Judiciary building. Our forefathers installed in its people and recognized that any government's #1 priority is public safety. That concept has remained true through the years and remains true today. Whether you work in one of these surrounding buildings or in a mental or correctional facility, NYSCOBA stands ready to discuss the mechanics of carrying out the mission of these systems. But there's one thing we will not compromise on, and that is the safety of our members.
Yeah.
Safety cannot and will not be negotiated, period. As I said, we have some very good friends from the legislature with us today, and I'd like to give them an opportunity to speak so they can go about their business of representing the members of this great state of New York. I'd first like to introduce the senior senator, Senator Hugh Farley.
Thank you, John Rowe. You have a great leader. He is my constituent and my friend. Let me thank you for what you do in one of the most challenging and dangerous jobs in our state service. We're very proud of you and grateful. My conference, the Republican Conference, is 100% behind what you want. For many years, I represented and had McGregor, one of the finest institutions in our prison system, and one that we have fought to keep open. It should be open. It is beloved in the community. It does a great job. Your safety is our priority. We're going to make sure that you're well represented and taken care of, because, you know, as we go forward here, this philosophy of turn 'em loose is nothing but a disaster ready to happen. I'm confident that my colleagues are going to stand up and do what we can to make sure in this budget that you're properly taken care of. Thank you for turning out, and thank you for your service to the state of New York.
Next is a senator from the 59th Senate District, the chair of the Senate Crime Victims and Crime and Corrections Committee in the Senate, a good friend of NYSCOBA, and a great addition to the Crime and Corrections Committee in the Senate, Patrick Gallivan.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thanks to all of you for your support of our efforts, and more importantly, for the work that you do. We very clearly, as Senator Farley has mentioned, and my other colleagues will no doubt mention, are very aware of the work that you do, are very aware of how dangerous that work is, and very aware how we have the obligation to do what we can to make sure that you stay safe in your jobs. And as I look out at the different signs that you have, and it's interesting that the President touched on the most important, the one I wanted to comment on, where I first saw in the back, it's not up now, is the one that says safety is not negotiable. Very clearly, we recognize that, and we'll do what we can to make sure that we always remember that and you're safe in your jobs. We will be voting on our budget, on the Senate version of the budget, tomorrow I believe that it is, and our recommendation coming out of our committee and the Public Protection Committee, where we worked on that area of the budget, is to reject all foreclosures and to work to make sure that they stay open, and more importantly, not at the very least, but at the very most, that you are safe in your jobs. We will work hard for you, I can promise you that. Thank you.
Our next speaker is no stranger to our Nice-Coba members. She has the largest geographical Senate district in the state. A very good friend of ours, Senator Betty Little.
Thank you so much, Don. And thank you to each and every one of you that are here. It is important that you are here today to speak out about how bad a decision this is to close these 4 facilities. We all want safety. We want safety in our neighborhoods. We want to live in a safe neighborhood. We want you to be able to work in a safe workplace. And yours is one of the most dangerous neighborhoods to work in. We know that as we crowd and get to larger facilities, that we put violent offenders in medium security facilities, that these facilities are becoming more dangerous. I went to one of my facilities one day, and they had a lockdown because they had had a huge altercation and fight. Inmates and people got hurt, as well as correction officers, the night before. And I asked, how did this, what was this all about? And they said, we took in an inmate who had just been waiting to get to a facility that his enemy was in. And he got here. And he started this huge altercation. And this is what we're doing when we put everybody in large facilities. The facilities they're talking about closing are good facilities. They are perfect for more work release programs. They are perfect for reducing recidivism, helping the inmate get ready, get out, and have a good civilian life and not be back the next time around. We need to continue those programs to make our facilities safe, but to also not just warehouse these inmates. We're all hearing about the drop in inmates because of the Rockefeller drug laws, and I supported those bills. We knew that was going to happen, and that was the right thing to do at that time. But we're also hearing from our DAs, from our sheriffs in our districts about a huge heroin epidemic. As we've taken away the ability to get prescription drugs, we have heroin just running rampant in our districts. These facilities get closed down and mothballed. You would not be able to reopen them, and you would have huge facilities to put people in. So we're working hard, as you said, Senator Gallivan, chairman of our committee, and our Senate Budget Office and our Senate bill will reject the closure of all of the facilities. And believe me, your presence here today helps us do that. Thank you very much for coming.
Moving right along, we want to get these people back in session. We have with us from the Hudson Valley a senator who last year authored a bill to enhance the throwing legislation or aggravated harassment, a real champion for the members of Nice-Coba, Senator John Bonacek.
To our friends from Elmira, Sagamore, St. Lawrence, Mid-Hudson, where I represent. This governor wants to balance the budget on the backs of the men and women that are out here today and who you are representative.
What about Colin?
It's morally wrong. I don't know the name of all 9 because the list is not official for all 9, but those I do know. Let me tell you, in the Mid-Hudson, it's 553 jobs and in a very dangerous environment, and they do a hell of a job because they're the professionals and they're good at what they do, and you know that at every institution that you work in. In my community, if those jobs go, it's not only about those jobs. Those people feed our community. They come there, they eat there, they work there, they buy their gas there, they spend their money there. That hurts the business people that are directly related to the money that those jobs generated. And if those jobs are lost, what about the homes and the families where those workers now have to make decisions about whether they got to leave their home and travel to tough places, or maybe they can't sell their home. So there's a very negative chain effect of this governor trying to do what I think is morally wrong. Thank God. Thank God we have partners in the Republican Senate. We will stand united. We will stay strong to tell this governor no to trying to save $30 million on your backs. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Senator. Our next senator to speak is from the 58th District, a true friend of Nice-Coba, Senator Thomas Lamar.
I guess I show up late and I get to go on first. This is great. Boy, if this weather is any indication, we're going to be very successful in our rally today. And I thank you all for coming out here today to fight for our efforts to save our prisons, to protect the safety that we have in this state, the safety that you all provide us day in and day out. We can't thank you enough for that. And to take the time to come up here today to show your support, to help us do what we do. We're going to work very hard over the next several weeks in this budget process to do what we can to save our prisons. Monterey is in my district, but I'm here today to support all the 4 facilities that are slated to be closed by Governor Cuomo. And we got to just say loud and clear today, no to Cuomo. That's what we're here about. Trust me, he's listening, he pays attention. The more pressure we can put on, the better. We've got to keep it up. I thank you all for all your efforts. Thank you for the rallies we've had in my district. Those of you that are here from Monterey to provide the great services throughout the community will be a great loss. This governor talks about savings to property taxpayers. Nothing provides greater support in our communities where I come from than the Monterey work crews that go out and provide vital services across the community. I want to thank all of you that are here again today. I'm proud to stand here with you today, and we will continue this fight. Have a great day.
I want to take a brief moment to say all these people talking today are not just talking today. They've been talking since July of last year, whether it was the mental health closure announcement or the correctional facilities announcement. They've been in contact with me. There's a certain person where I came from, which was Saratoga County, who was freshman senator this year, these past 2 years. She represents the 43rd Senate District. She was the first one to reach me on my cell phone as I left Building 2 in the announcement, and she hasn't stopped calling or returning calls, as the rest of them haven't, since that announcement. I'm honored to introduce the Honorable Senator from the 43rd District, Senator Kathy Marchione.
Thank you. Now, once again, it's an honor for me to stand with friends. Nice-Copa President Don Rowe and Nice-Copa members, all of you, you've been a pillar of strength and a voice of reason. I'm proud to support the public safety professionals who protect New York's families. Our dedicated public safety professionals serve in some of the toughest, trying, and most stressful conditions possible, day in, day out, week in, week out. You have been on the job, keeping watch, keeping us safe. Thank you for that. I said back in July, and I say it again, Governor Cuomo, don't close Mount McGregor Correctional Facility and any other one of these facilities. Our message here to the administration, to the Capitol, stop targeting public safety and vital services. Keep these institutions open. Keep them working for a safer New York. With a projected budget surplus, it makes no sense to be closing correctional facilities. We all know how the statistics have been twisted and spun to say that there is excess capacity, whatever that must mean. Inmates are double bunked, triple bunked, maximum security inmates, some of the most dangerous, most violent prisoners, and you know it, are housed in medium security facilities that lack the ability to properly house them. The result is more violence, more assaults, more attack on our officers and our inmates. It leads to a trickle-down violence. I believe the push for closures is a case of misplaced priorities. A few weeks ago, the governor announced that there was money in the budget to provide a college education for inmates. With all due respect to the governor, if there's money in the budget to give prisoners a free college education, there's money in the budget to keep public safety facilities open. I introduced a while ago legislation to require that the legislature should have approval before any correctional facility could be closed. I wish I could tell you for certain that Mount McGregor and all the other correctional facilities will be kept open, but I can't today. But here's what I can tell you. I'm advocating, and my colleagues in the Senate Republican are advocating for you. We're pushing hard to keep Mount McGregor open and all the other facilities open, and OPWGD facilities as well, to keep them open. We're doing everything that we can. We believe the funding is there. We are asking the governor to partner with us. It's not too late. Whatever you work at a correctional facility or at an OPWGD facility, contact the governor. Contact your legislature and tell them to keep your facilities open. Your presence here today tells that story, but it really is important that each and every one of you also do the due diligence to contact those in power. Thank you for the important work that you do, and God bless you.
Now my privilege to introduce the Independent Democratic Conference leader, co-leader of the Majority Conference within the State Senate, also a friend, not Johnny-come-lately, of NYSCOBA. He and his members have authored reports which has affected the waste in docks, and we're a champion to hearings that brought to light the mismanagement within our systems and the need to spend it where it should be spent, and that's on the mission of the department and the safety of the department. It's my honor to introduce Senator Jeffrey Klein.
Thank you. First and foremost, I think we have to give our president a round of applause. He's quite the fighter. Thank you. Unfortunately, each and every year, you guys who help keep us safe, make sure that our prison population is under control, have to come here and have this same type of rally. It's unfortunate. because I think we have to wrap our arms around the fact that the work that you do keeps us safe each and every day, and I thank you for that. We also have to wrap our arms around the fact that when I look out across the people before me today, you're hardworking New Yorkers, and you are the middle class. And we talk about a lot here about creating jobs, about retaining jobs. Well, why don't we make sure that we retain your jobs first? This is an important part of, I think, our process. I think everyone knows we're entering into our budget negotiations. And unfortunately, this year, instead of looking out for the hard workers that are before me today, we have an executive budget that's filled with tax cuts for business, tax cuts for large corporations, tax cuts for the wealthiest in our society. Is that looking out for you? Oh. Well, you know something? I think we have to regain our priorities, regain our perspective. And the way we do that is by making sure that in this budget, we retain your jobs, we retain middle-class jobs. That's how we're going to get New York working again. That's how you're going to make sure you keep us safe. You know, it was said before, over the years, I tried everything to convince this governor, previous governors, to make sure not to balance their budget on the backs of you. We came up with studies that showed if we consolidate prison services, we can save millions and millions of dollars. We showed how making sure that managerial level people who aren't doing safety work like you are getting millions and millions of dollars in overtime. We actually finally stood up and said that major people who work in prisons, the top brass, shouldn't get free housing. But yet they still continue to say that they have to balance the budget on your backs, and that's wrong. So I make a very simple commitment that in this year's budget, I think we have to recognize a very simple truth. There has to be less tax cuts for business and more tax cuts for you in the form of full employment. Thank you all very, very much.
Our next senator, last senator, certainly not least, is no stranger to law enforcement. He's the chairman of the Senate Civil Service and Pensions Committee, a good friend of ours, Senator Marty Golden.
I'm going to be brief, but to the point. I'm a former New York City police officer, my brother a former captain of corrections, and I have a slew of brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews in law enforcement. Talking about closing 4 correctional institutions, facilities, is not the conversation that we should be having here in the state of New York. Right. Closing and consolidating several mental health facilities is not the conversation that we should be having here in the state of New York. The Office of People with Developmental Disabilities is also looking to close 4 locations. That is not the conversation we should be having here today. We should be having conversations on how do we keep our prisoners where they belong, in jail, and keeping our prisons open and taking care of the people of this great state. We should be giving more opportunity for mental health across this state and putting more people that need mental health and giving them the facilities to get that mental health, not less. Yeah. We should be working with the Office of the People with Developmental Disabilities. Not more closures, but more opportunities for our developmental disabilities and giving them opportunities for our communities, not less. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues in the Republican Conference and in the IDC, and you'll see many colleagues here in the Assembly on both sides of the issue. We're here to support you. We're here to make sure that this negotiation that we're doing right now, there's money put aside that we can somehow work to make sure that we keep our prison systems open and put the guys and the girls that belong in those prison systems where they belong, in those facilities. If we do not stand together, if we're not here, who is going to be the next facility? Who is going to be on next year's closure list? And the closure list will just continue to go on and on. Enough. We want to give college credits to criminals, but we don't want to keep our prisons open. We need to put the bad people in this great city and state in jail where they belong and keep these facilities open. You have a commitment from the New York State Republican Senate, from my leader, Dean Skelos, and you just heard from our good friend from the IDC, to work with you to find dollars and to make sure that we keep these facilities open and we keep our communities safe. God bless you. Keep up the good fight, and we will win this.
Now I'd like to introduce the members of the State Assembly, their leader in the Assembly Republican Conference, Assemblyman Brian Kolb. I apologize, I did not. The way I looked at this is your seat's secured in there. It's the senators that got to come in and find seats. So we do realize that they have to be in for a joint session in a few minutes, but we do appreciate the Assembly members who came out today. And as I said, Leader, I hope you have a secure seat in there, and our senators will sit right next to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. I'm going to be very brief as well. See this gentleman over to my left here? We need to be standing up for him and all of the women and men in Niascoba throughout this entire state. And the way we're going to do that and keep our community safe is to say one word that our former First Lady Nancy Reagan said: just say no. Let's tell the governor, just say no. Just say no. Just say no. Just say no. We're going to do this one more time. As far as this idea to take the hard-working taxpayers' dollars and provide taxpayer dollars for a college tuition for inmates, we just got one word to say, and what would that be? No! What would that be? No! What would that be? No! On that note, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the entire Assembly Republican Conference that stretches from Buffalo to Long Island, we are with you in this fight from start to finish. We love you all. Thanks for the service to our great state. Now let's go get it.
Thank you, Leader Cole. Our next speaker is, again, no stranger to Niascoba. He's my assemblyman and has been a proponent of our issues and protecting Mount McGregor in his own district, Assemblyman Jim Tedesco.
You know, there's a very important question that has to be answered, and I think the New York State Legislature, in conjunction with you, can answer it. Should a chief executive, should a governor be able to unilaterally close any corrections facility in New York State? No! No, the answer is no, because you know what? Government by fiat around the world, in the United States, and especially in New York, has never worked. As far as I can remember, when this governor was born, there weren't three wise men kneeling in front of his crib.
That's for sure.
Although he may think he walks on water, he doesn't. That's for sure. The fact of the matter is, we have something to do about that. We have a piece of legislation which I have authored and sponsored by several of my colleagues in the Assembly, sponsored by several of my colleagues, including Senator Marchione in the Senate, and it's pretty simple, and it makes eminent sense. The two things lacking here are, number one, respect and communication. Listen, when the phone isn't ringing to your leadership to get your input, or the New York State Legislature, when the phone isn't ringing, you know it's Andrew Cuomo on the other end, because he's not calling. He wants to do it by fiat. Our legislation would do two simple things. Any plan that he or any other governor or chief executive wants to put together to close a correction facility has to be put forth. If they want to do something to what is so-called right-sizing, has to be sent to us 1 year in advance. Secondly, the New York State Legislature, in conjunction with you and him, talking about respected communication, has to ratify it, has to vote for it, and we're not going to vote for it. Last time I checked, we had a constitution. It had 3 branches: judiciary, legislative, and executive. And we should be a part of any discussion. You should be a part of any discussion. You're a group of professionals, not only protecting our constituents, protecting those inmates, and most importantly, with the difficult environment you have, working the best you can to protect yourself. You've got a great leader in your president, President Rowe, a great group of people supporting you. You're important to the state and its safety. Any decision cannot be made by one man sitting in an office who thinks that he knows it all. Our conference, under our leadership, is going to do everything we can to get that money in the budget. And above and beyond that, we're going to do everything we can to put that legislation out there to say, this is a team, New York State. We have to work together. We need the input of professionals. We need the input of that other branch, the New York State Legislature. And we can't be blindsided by an individual who sits in that office on the second floor and says, by fiat, I know exactly what we need. Well, he's done exactly what we don't need. New York State will not be open for jobs if he shuts down your facilities and makes us less safer, and we create more double bunking and more dangerous opportunities. We're not going to let that happen. I promise you, we'll stand up for you. God bless you and thank you.
I can go on and on about friend, longtime friend, but I won't. Every single one of these people that I'm introducing have come into the facilities. They've seen you walk the walk. So I'm going to move this along. And our next speaker is our good friend, Bob Oates.
Thank you, Don. It's my pleasure to be with all of you today, those who every day put your life on the lines for all of us. I represent the Butler facility, which along with Chateaugay and Mount McGregor and Monterey are all standing in the face of this governor's decision. We need to say stop. Look at what the impact will be. You talk about you want to give money for college education and take money out of the budget. There's training programs going on that if we focus on that, maybe we will have prisoners coming out and going to a job that is available for them. Why not expand some of those that are going on right now in some of those facilities that are being closed? Communities opened their doors when the state needed them and said, come on in and build your facility here. We're willing to share our streets with this facility that'll be a part of our community. Now today, the governor says, no, we're pulling up our stakes and going somewhere to keep New York State moving to where we need to be, to keep people in prison and off the streets who need to be rehabilitated, who need to be off the streets to protect us and to protect you. It's the wrong decision, and I stand with you today.
Keep our prisons open!
I Our next speaker, Assemblyman Dave DiPietro, good friend of ours.
Thank you for having me. I want to start out first off. It's no coincidence that God has given you the best day of the year to come here and express your views. Thank you, God. Before I start, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming here and putting that sign up and letting us know exactly what's happening. I represent 4 state facilities: Attica, Collins, Gowanda, Wyoming. I've only been there 1 year, and the first thing I did was take a tour of all 4. That's all right. That's my job. It says right here, we walk the toughest beat in law enforcement. Yes, you do. I'm here to pledge to work whatever I can to help you. What is the Constitution? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which means protection of our citizens comes first, which means your job is first. Nothing else. It comes with the safety. Bad people do bad things, and I want to thank you for my family for keeping them safe from those people. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker, Assemblywoman Janet Dupree, good friend of ours, big district, big jails.
Janet.
I hate to one-up some of my colleagues, but when I started in this business, I'm in my 8th year now, I had 8 facilities. I now have 6. And if the governor has his way, he's going to try and take away. And a great shout out to Chattagay back there. We've got to stop it from happening. I'm here for all of the facilities, but I walk the blocks, I walk the dorms, I talk to the officers. I know what your jobs are. I know how hard they are. I meet your families in the grocery store, and your spouses tell me that they're worried every day now when you go to work because our jails aren't safe like they used to be safe. And if this governor has his way, we'll continue to take a slide down that slippery slope, and we cannot, absolutely cannot allow that to happen. Chattagay is the newest facility in the state. Makes no sense to close it. All of our facilities, all of you work hard. And like others have, I've got to recognize you, sir, and your sign. I right now, as we speak, am working with 3 of my correction officers who've been injured on the job. I don't ever want to have to work with another one. We've got to keep our facilities safe. We have an obligation to all of you. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for doing your job every day. I can walk in there and I can talk to you, but I don't work there. And I'm not sure that I could. I have a huge respect for what you do. Thank you for your service. We're going to do everything we can to keep you
safe. Next is Assemblyman who's a strong voice on the Assembly Corrections Committee, a very difficult committee at times, along with Assemblywoman Dupree, a good friend of ours, Joe Giglio.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here with all of you today. This is where I feel most comfortable with you guys. What we've learned, the first thing we learned at the Academy is safe and secure. What the governor's forgotten is that safe and secure. The other thing we learned is to treat everybody with respect. We all deserve that same respect out there. As it was stated earlier, we've been here before, guys and ladies, fighting the same battle. This has to stop. We have to make everybody recognize how crucial it is to keep these places open and how crucial it is to increase them and how we need more staffing. We've passed laws, we've passed bills that had the staffing ratios in them and they've been vetoed. So we need to continue to work together to make sure that we're all safe and secure, and as Janet said, we all go home at night. God bless you. Yeah.